From NBC 15, this is breaking news.
Remarkable news tonight. Jamie Klaus, the Barron County teenager who vanished in October, has been found alive.
The Barron County Sheriff's Office made that announcement tonight, saying Klaus was found in Douglas County.
NBC 15's Callie Greenberg is live now in our newsroom with the very latest information on the case.
Like you said, John, truly remarkable. In fact, in a post on the Barron County Sheriff's Department Facebook page, they said, quote, "We promise to bring Jamie home, and tonight we get to fulfill that promise." Tonight, Jamie was found north in Douglas County alive, and a suspect has been taken into custody. Her grandfather confirms she's being treated at a children's hospital before being reunited with her family. Here's what we know about how the 13-year-old was found. Barron County Sheriff's Department was notified by the Douglas County Sheriff's Department earlier this evening, saying that they had located Jamie Klaus. We've learned shortly after a suspect was taken into custody, and right now we're working to gather details on who this person is. We've been following this story for you since Klaus went missing in October. That was when her parents were found murdered in their Barron, Wisconsin home. Right now, there's still limited details, and the Sheriff's Department is calling the investigation fluid. But we do know the Barron County Sheriff's Office, they are planning a press briefing around 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, where we're hoping to learn more details. This story is developing. In fact, right now we're still gathering information. John and Amy will actually bring you another update in about 10 minutes. That's going to include a statement from Jamie Klaus's family.
Callie Greenberg, thanks for the update there. Well, Jamie Klaus disappeared October 15th. Both of her parents were found murdered in their home that night. Investigators from Barron County, the Wisconsin Division of Criminal Investigation, the FBI, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children were on the scene, and an Amber Alert was issued later that afternoon for her. Then weeks of searching, hundreds of hours of manpower, and all of those many volunteers helped search for her. And today, she was found alive in Douglas County, just north of Minong, and we know one person was arrested.
Now, we do need to mention this crime scene in Walworth County because earlier today there was a social media rumor that this investigation was connected to Jamie's disappearance. It is in fact not. Someone had hacked the Back the Blue Wisconsin Facebook page and published that false information. Jamie's rescue is spreading like wildfire on social media tonight. The Voice runner-up and Barron native Chris Cruzy took to Facebook saying, "To all of you who joined us in keeping Jamie Klaus in our thoughts and prayers, tonight our prayers have been answered. Jamie has been found."
We've been with this case, of course, since it first broke back in October, and be sure to stay with us ahead of the latest news and updates on NBC15.com and with the free NBC 15 News app for smartphones and tablets. We'll have more on this story again in this newscast with some new developments. Well, thousands of dollars in fines in the wake of a gas explosion that destroyed a number of buildings in downtown Sun Prairie and killed veteran firefighter Corey Barr.
Today, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration released the findings of their 5-month-long investigation. Morgan Wolf has those details.
2 utilities companies will face nearly $13,000 in fines for, quote, serious safety issues. According to OSHA, Bear Communications and VC Tech didn't call Diggers Hotline, a source that provides information on utilities underground. Anytime someone is breaking ground in Wisconsin, they're supposed to call them. The companies are now facing the maximum penalty and have 15 days to comply with OSHA. The mayor says that the report isn't shocking.
The community first came to grips with the loss, and then they have processed that loss and are moving on. I said that on the day we opened the intersection after the repairs were done, that this was really symbolic. That day we were moving forward, and it was appropriate that we do so. I don't think the information from OSHA helps that in any way. I don't think that changes it. The only thing I take away from that is that OSHA has identified responsibility, and they're calling out these people, and maybe that will prevent this from repeating someplace else in the future. That's the only emotional part of it I can take out of this.
Something still on the table is the city of Sun Prairie filing a lawsuit. I asked the mayor today about that, and he says it's still too soon to tell, but they do want to get reimbursed for some of the damages that they had to deal with. That includes having to have security and, of course, rebuilding some of those roads in Sun Prairie. Live in the studio tonight, I'm Morgan Wolf, NBC 15 News.
The Boys and Girls Club of Dane County has a new location in Sun Prairie.
The club bought the Peace Evangelical Lutheran Church property on Windsor Street. Today, Isabel Lawrence learned more about that project.
I spoke with club president and CEO Michael Johnson, and he said he's aiming to have the new location open by the end of the year. Johnson said the location will have a full daycare for 75 kids, 2 kitchens, arts and crafts, and after-school programs and tutoring. Johnson said he thinks the club would employ about 35 people, 2 or 3 full-time jobs and then the part-time jobs. In the meantime, Johnson said the church will be undergoing some cosmetic work and needs volunteers for painting and flooring. He said that having a location in Sun Prairie has been about 10 years in the making.
When I left Madison, 7 months ago, one of the things I said that I regretted before I left was not being able to get the Sun Prairie project done. So to be able to come back to this community and then now to finish that up, I can't wait.
Johnson said the goal is to serve between 100 and 150 kids every single day in Sun Prairie, and that it's about a $1.2 million project. Reporting in the studio, Isabel Lawrence, NBC 15 News.
Tonight, a sigh of relief in Barron County as Jamie Klaus was found alive.
The 13-year-old vanished from her home in October after her parents were murdered. We return now to NBC 15's Callie Greenberg in our newsroom with the very latest on this.
And we're just learning that Jamie was found in a location called Eau Claire Acres. That's near Gordon, Wisconsin, up north in Douglas County. And obviously this is a ongoing investigation. In fact, the Barron County Sheriff's Department is calling this fluid right now, but we do want to tell you what we know. So right now, we know the Barron County Sheriff's Department was notified by the Douglas County Sheriff's Department earlier tonight saying that they had located Jamie Klaus. We now know that was up near Gordon, Wisconsin. And a person was arrested. A suspect is in custody tonight. Klaus had been missing since October 15th. That's when her parents were found murdered in their Barron, Wisconsin home. According to the Facebook post by the Barron County Sheriff's Department, they do plan to hold a press conference tomorrow morning around 10 a.m. Tonight, they're not taking any questions. Tonight, we're also hearing from Jamie's family. They're reacting to this great news. Her cousin, Lacey, tonight, she posted on Facebook saying, "There are no words to describe how humbling it is to have so many people who don't even know you come together to help our family." For you at home, we want you to know that we're going to continue to monitor this breaking news story, and we'll bring you the latest during this newscast tomorrow morning on The Morning Show and also online at NBC15.com.
The struggles on the playground just aren't what they used to be. What many think of, including smoking, drinking, and sex, are actually slightly down.
Yeah, for example, experimenting with alcohol is down 14 percentage points since 2009, according to the Dane County Youth Assessment for 7th and 8th graders. But what is on the rise may be a little harder to see. Mental health related issues are consuming our school counselors, and right now the concern, are there enough school counselors to go around?
More than 1,100 students, each one trying to navigate their days at Cromery Middle School.
Don't get me on!
Helping them through the twists and turns of those awkward adolescent years, Carrie Burke.
When students have those needs met, they're much better able to thrive academically.
She's one of 3 school counselors, each managing about 420 students.
Sometimes it can be challenging to feel like we are meeting all of those needs, but I think there's a lot of value in how collaborative the work we do is.
Cromery's ratio is pretty close to the national average of 482 students per counselor. However, that's nearly double the recommended guidelines from the American School Counselors Association. It's an issue facing a number of schools in our area. According to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, state statute reads all students in Wisconsin must have access to a school counselor.
So most
districts in the state, 99.9% of districts have school counselors employed in their district.
Greg Curtis, a school counseling consultant with the DPI, says how districts choose to staff their schools is completely up to them.
There are some districts in the state that have about 250 to 300 kids per counselor, and there are some districts that have 700 plus.
Instead of focusing on class scheduling, standardized tests, and filling out college or job applications, that stereotypical role many of us think of, in early 2000, Curtis says there was a shift in the role of school counselors.
From maybe the time that we implemented No Child Left Behind with the emphasis on testing and test results, very early on there were some folks that said, I'm not sure that this is actually what we want to be doing.
School counselors expanded their focus from academic and career preparedness to include social and emotional development, monitoring things like resilience, self-advocacy, and hope.
Things that we don't test, but incredibly important for students to be successful.
There are tons of kids that come in that have real mental health needs that, based on barriers, their family isn't able to access services. So we do end up kind of feeling like the front line.
We're talking heavy topics: anxiety, depression, and suicide.
1 in 5 youth experience mental illness at some point, and that less than half of those kids receive treatment.
Spotting the warning signs are not always easy.
A lot of the work that we do is based on data.
Data that is collected through one-on-one time, small groups, and online surveys.
The 6th grade screener asks students a number of questions about depression symptoms.
Abby Hannon works with 5th and 6th graders and explains being prepared for the real world goes far beyond what students are learning in their textbooks.
We can help students learn ways to cope with situations, and then they can practice those coping skills before they get to a point where they don't know what to do.
We really feel like it's a top priority at our school to be giving kids those skills beyond just the academic skills that will help them thrive, regardless of what types of post-secondary options they decide to pursue.
Yeah, and with all the funding cuts to education historically, that's kind of a position that was often on the chopping block, right?
Yeah, and that's something that's changing very much so right now. Curtis says schools are finding value in these school counselors, and many districts are finding more ways to get more counselors in their district. And I do want to make mention, as I was putting this story together just yesterday, I learned from the Madison Metropolitan School District that they do not staff counselors in their elementary schools. So this is something that I'm going to be following up on, so watch for that story coming up.
This is NBC 15 Sports.
Hello again, everybody. The Badger men's basketball team is back at the Kohl Center tomorrow night. Bucky taking on Purdue at 8 o'clock. NBC 15 Sports will be live at 6 as a preview because we're awesome like that. Speaking of awesome and basketball, big game in the Badger South as Stoughton makes the trek up 51 to Monona Grove. Eagles with an early lead when Caden Nelson adds some padding. But things would get tight from there. Vikings starting a comeback. Drew Anderson, a little awkward shot here in the paint, gets it to fall. From there, Stoughton would go on a 21-4 run to end the half, thanks in large part to the long ball, Adam Hobson. But there was another half to play, and MG holds on to win this one. 63-61 is your final. Just a few miles away, La Follette hosting Middleton in Big 8 conference play. Cardinals open up with some quick passing inside to Jake Klubertons, rises above everyone for the easy deuce. But from there, the Lancers would take over. Daniil Gray assisting on the breakaway to Ben Probst. And again to Isaiah Stewart. Both combos work so well, so why not try it again? Gray to Stewart for the long ball. Then it's Gray again to Probst. The kid from St. Denis. Oh, yeah, he's not missing that. Lancers taking this one dominating fashion tonight, 65-46. The Packers made waves around the football world with their hiring of Matt LaFleur, but there was a Sun Prairie Phi Ed teacher with the same last name that got some attention as well, thanks to his, quote, friends. LaFleur works at Northside Elementary, and when Matt was hired by the Packers, Jeremy's friends thought it was pretty cool, and even though they were not related at all, well, they became related on Monday, at least a little while. Look, Wikipedia, when the TV stations and newspapers and a whole bunch of people started calling the school, and while it was all a hoax, we here at NBC 15 Sports wanted to hear the story.
He went on Wikipedia and he changed Wikipedia and said that I was a cousin to Matt LaFleur, and he texted all my buddies and showed a screenshot of it. And within 10 minutes, I had another news station in Milwaukee already calling me and wanting to be interviewed. My friends got a good laugh out of it. And we were looking on Twitter, and somebody wrote about me and said that I was a brother.
Awesome. Friends, right? That's it for sports. NBC 15 News at 10. We'll be right back.